That's the beauty of verite. The beauty of verite is that the gift you're given is the opportunity to harness the power of life and turn it into narrative art, cinematic art. It bonds you with the subjects in a way that that the whole experience has kind of been waiting for. You know, they've trusted you. They've given great faith. This is a Final Cut film, so you know they really. I mean, as much as Billie is in control of all aspects of her career, she was hands off on this. I mean, we of course got feedback, but she, you know, she trusted me to make the film that I wanted to make.
For me, the best part has been like how touched people are by it and how relatable she is, and that she talks about hard things. And it's really a way to talk, you know, to young, you know, I have an 11-year-old daughter, and like watching it, you know, we could talk about anxiety and depression and what is Tourette syndrome and what's it like when someone's so famous and so rich, but yet they're still lonely and their boyfriend doesn't call them back. And all of that I think is, you know, why we all feel connected to her, because she's so open and vulnerable and lets us see, you know, all the good and the bad. And RJ was able to catch that in a way that she really felt seen. And that was, I think, probably the best compliment, you know, that could be received on this film.
She has this incredible presence. She's magnetic and dynamic. I admired her work. I knew about her career arc and her early work. I knew the songs that that she had released. It's a tip of the iceberg now, but I knew of her as an artist, and I met her as a person. And in that moment, I was like, oh, I get it. There's there's this unique artist, and this unique person. There's going to be this unique story to tell, but there's also going to be this universal story to tell. And it's a relationship wherein she feels as comfortable being herself when she's with us as she does with anyone with whom she's fully comfortable being herself. She trusts us. She trusts us to be herself. And that allows us to see her as herself. And that's what this filmmaking is.
When we were first presented this, everyone was like, who's Billie Eilish? You know, and didn't know, no one knew what was about to happen, but we all knew that she had this really interesting story, and this being homeschooled, and that everything is about her family. And so the pitch was really, this is going to be a movie about family, and it's also going to be emotional, because that's, you know, it needs to touch people. And I think that's what RJ does so well. And that's, you know, that's what I think, you know, in terms of filtering, that's why there was no one else that could have directed this movie in the way that he did.
I was like, well, what do you think it should be like? Have you thought about it? And her answer was, I think it should be like The Office. And I was like, ruh-roh, The Office is a scripted comedy. But then I realized what she meant, which was that, you know, it's so funny because I watched the first 6 episodes of season 1 of The Office on the plane home. I was in New York this week and flew back, and that's what I did on the flight. And I was reminded yet again that it's that unique dynamic that some of the subjects, particularly John Krasinski, you know, it's a faux documentary, The Office, right? That's the concept. There's a documentary crew in this office filming them. And Krasinski's always kind of glancing over to the camera, and those glances are very meaningful. And they could, as a result, he has a connection with the audience that is that is a unique dynamic to what you normally see. And Billie wanted access to the camera and to the audience through the camera, and that's what she was telling me. And we you know, Jenna Rocher, who was our DP, was aware of that, and so that possibility existed. And there are 2 or 3 moments in the film where you see her look right down the barrel of the camera, and that's important because it's what Billie wanted, but it's important because it speaks to that the unique nature of her relationship to her audience. So it was true. This film demanded to be this late, and we took the intermission out in one cut, and the film was not as good.
Because you needed to take a breath after her sadness of Coachella, after Q hasn't shown up, after she thinks that she's completely fucked up her performance and she's so hard on herself. And when we went to the next scene without that, the movie didn't work.
The Justin Bieber stuff didn't work as well. The Q stuff didn't work as well. You needed that breath.
Yeah.
You needed to say, this is over and this begins. She was before Coachella, and then she was after Coachella. And the first thing that happens in that moment, it all happens at Coachella, but before and after her performance, the first thing that happens after her performance is that Justin Bieber hugs her. Justin Bieber, I say, descends from the heavens and greets her right on the other side of the performance and says, welcome, and says, thank you, and says, you remind me of what I mean to people. Thank you so much. And remember, you're not more important than anyone else. You're great, but you're not greater than anyone else. And Billie looks at the camera in that moment, right? In that office moment. And she goes like this to remind us all of that fact. He never gave interviews, but at the height of his powers, at the height of his success, one sportscaster got an interview with Wayne Gretzky. And I was in college at the time, and we all gathered around the TV to watch it. And the interviewer said, tell us, great one, what is your secret? How do you do what you do? And Gretzky said, well, it's all very simple. I just follow the puck. And that is the story that I tell when describing what the challenge of the work that we do is. Everybody else who's ever played the sport of hockey has been trying to get the puck to do what it wants, what they want it to do. They hit it with a stick. They push people out of the way. They do everything they can to get that puck to behave the way they want it to behave. Gretzky followed the puck, and he let it behave the way it wants to behave. And that's what verite filmmaking is. You got to follow the puck. As you get closer to the ending of the filming process, the subject will begin to take you around and say, you got to see this. Have I talked to you about this? Have I shown you this? Here's the wall in my bedroom that nobody's ever seen because I covered it up because it's so painful. Here's the part of the notebook that I don't let anyone see. Here's on and on, because they realize you've actually done the thing you said you were going to do, which was make a movie about their life. You actually did it. You showed up every day. You dealt. You were there. You left 10 minutes early as often as you could.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to show you because I'm invested. You asked me before, what was I looking for in the subject? Someone who wants to tell their story, someone who wants their story told, someone who's looking for someone who they can trust to tell their story. And if they realize more and more as you get to the end of the process that they have found that person. And so they divulge more and more and more. And that's how it works. So it's not about what's your agreement. If I say at the beginning, like, okay, we're going to start, Billie, I need to know about your depression. Right? Let's set limits. Let's figure it out. It doesn't work that way. It's a much more organic process.